Hey everyone, and welcome back to an extremely exciting World of Warcraft lore video. So, with the WoW news cycle slowing down a bit, I've finally had time to dive into my big list of deeper lore topics to talk about, with this one actually being pretty damn well timed, considering all that we know about patch 8.1.5 and patch 8.2. Y'Shaarj might be coming back. A great rift is opening in the sea, and murlocs are being experimented on. Now, you're probably thinking, why bother experimenting on murlocs when you could just go to Skillshare, who have sponsored today's video? They're an online learning community with over 25,000 classes, but today there is just one that I really want you to check out. It's by Thomas Frank. You've probably seen him on YouTube. He's one of my favorite YouTubers, has been for years, and you can view it for free because of my free trial, which is linked below. First 500 subscribers who check that out will get 2 months of premium access for free for all the Skillshare content. Thomas is a big man for self-experimentation, all with the goal of being more productive and of learning, and not at the expense of any murlocs. His course, Productivity Masterclass, condenses what he's learned down into a single course. It's a truly fantastic piece of content that provides a pathway to really a more free, less interrupted by chaos life. I can't recommend his content enough, and you can get it for free using my link down below. So, thank you to Skillshare for supporting this channel, especially with there seemingly being another looming apocalypse on the YouTube platform. So, with that, thank you to them, and let's get right into the video. First up, the Great Rift. A great rift is opening up in the seas of Azeroth. While on an island expedition, we pick up a Murloc eye. Now, this is fairly strange because Murlocs are typically not dismembered for the NAGA spells. So we are concerned about this, and we seek out King Murgle all the way over in Northrend. Of course, being an elf in a Murloc suit, he's a lot more easy to talk to than the regular Murloc folk, and worryingly for us, he talks about things which, given the modern context, what we now know from 8.1.5 and 8.2, is very worrying. Here is the quote: "There is one area that they won't even go near anymore. The water bubbles ferociously and the heat is unbearable. The fish have all fled. Everything has fled." What could be going on there? Oh wow, we really need to dive into this one. But first, remember, this is in the deep sea, okay? Now remember, the deep sea murlocs look very different to regular murlocs. They have various biological adaptations that make them better suited for life in a world that is so deep underwater that there is basically no light. Now, thinking about the real world, there is very little that causes the water in the deep ocean to bubble with ferocious heat, and what does cause that is very impactful to World of Warcraft. So the first thing is hydrothermal vents. These things are actually quite amazing. They're essentially caused by diverging tectonic plates. The Earth is sort of pulled apart gradually, kind of. I mean, it's a bit of a simplification, but it literally causes those vents in the sea floor that kind of, link it all the way down to the mantle. It's really amazing, and you get this superheated water. Yeah, water above its boiling point, actually like 400 Celsius, rushing up. They are stunning. They're home to some of the planet's most, well, interesting and completely wild life, potentially being one of the earliest locations that life could have thrived on this planet. And these are found on really a few different types of plate boundary, with one being where plates are actually moving apart. So to say that it's a rift, that might be a little bit dramatic, but it basically is that, just at a gradual pace. Well, World of Warcraft does not do gradual paces. That deep below the ocean, those characteristics, the hot, bubbling water, they only really come from one thing, like the geothermal activity of the planet itself, i.e. water that is so close to the mantle that it's like getting superheated. And, that takes a long time in the real life for all that stuff to happen, but here, World of Warcraft, it's clearly happening at an extremely rapid pace. Shocking King Murgle. Now, I think that this could really only mean one thing. There is a rift in the ocean floor of Azeroth, and that rift is only getting larger, and as it gets larger, the problem gets worse. Now, what could this rift be? Okay, this is where it gets fun. There are a whole number of things, ranging from the next patch to things that are straight up insane. So first, let's talk about the Nazjatar angle. Now, it seems like the most sensible explanation, but it actually probably isn't. Nazjatar is not below the sea floor. It's not old enough to be wholly covered in sediment that's then been turned to rock, partially because it's also a lived-in city that presumably is well maintained. Now, we actually know from BlizzCon that Nazjatar is not going to be an underwater area, but, well, we don't really know why. The sea has been mysteriously, held back, or, around its perimeter, causing it to essentially exist in a hole in the ocean. Now, my personal speculation here is that the Alliance and the Horde fleets will be traveling to Nazjatar and be met with utter disaster as NAGA magic parts the ocean, right? Like, kind of like that, causing ships who would be in the middle of the retreating water to kind of fall down and be carried like right into the rocks that surround the city. With these rocks, of course, being actually the natural hills that would have surrounded the city back in the glory days when it was, you know, properly above water and a part of the Night Elf Empire. Now, when we look at the Nazjatar art, it seems to be the case because we see all these like shipwrecks everywhere. How did they get there? Well, they often seem to be smashed against the surrounding hills, and I think that's, yeah, because some sort of magic is used to like retreat the water, and I think that in doing that, that's really Ashara showing her insane magical prowess, and it would deal a major blow to both the Alliance and the Horde, potentially negating the massive naval advantage that the Alliance exited dazar'alor with. And I'm sure Taron Gregory's team would have a hell of a time making a cinematic covering that event. So because of this, I don't think the rift onto the ocean is Nazjatar, especially because we've got all this bubbling water. I mean, that could be from maybe a magical ritual that's being cast, but that seems very likely because of the timing and the forethought that would be needed. So if not Nazjatar, what else? Well, the Black Empire. I do have another even more wacky theory, but the Black Empire is the very, very possible one. So we know very little about the Black Empire, just that it was a planet-spanning civilization of chaos ruled by the old gods, who themselves were in a state of constant war. Now, the Black Empire eventually fell to the Titans in an event that, based on the whisperings of Xal'atath, is referred to as the Scouring. Now, this happened a long, long time ago. The timeline is unclear, but this could be like 500,000 years ago when the planet was like fully, the surface was fully infested. Then, of course, the Titans arrived. The Titans defeated the Black Empire with their Titan-forged army in an event that, as we covered, seems to be known as the Scouring to the Old God Alliance forces. Now, scouring, the word, means to clear the surface of something by sort of, abrasively rubbing it. Basically to like obliterate the surface. Now, I doubt that, they just got a giant Brillo pad and kind of took it out to destroy the impurity, but I think we can take the Scouring as being the attempt to remove the Black Empire. Now, they clearly didn't glass the planet as Halo's Covenant would. How do we know that? Well, we only need to look at the Ashara Warbringer cinematic, where it very much seems like that's an Azeroth stuck below the earth or something like that in his prison. Now, since the Titans have the power of creation and seemingly are able to terraform, I wonder if they pretty much destroyed the Black Empire, imprisoned the old gods, and pretty much resurfaced over the Black Empire, kind of like painting over wallpaper rather than removing it. That would mean that the old Black Empire, decrepit and ruined, would still be under there, perhaps encased in maybe a thick layer of igneous rock. Well, the layer that maybe separates the old world of Azeroth from the new is seemingly breaking down. N'Zoth resides in his prison beneath that. Now, you might wonder, if the Black Empire is encased down there, then how did we fight Cthulhu and Yogg-Saron in the game? Well, the established lore actually already covers that, because canonically, we don't defeat their main body, we merely fight outgrowths of those old gods. Basically the most that their weakened essences can actually power. Well, with N'Zoth, he's canonically the weakest of the old gods, so if we were to travel down into his realm, into the dark below, and fight a full old god, it would make sense that it would be the one who is physically the weakest, because us fighting Isharj or Yogg-Saron, that likely would not make that much sense, especially without the help of the Pantheon. So, all that talk of the final prison weakening, of it not being as strong as it once was, of the god of the deep writhing in his prison, breaking free ever so slowly. What if this is also referring, literally, to the great rift in the ocean that we now know is there, that could soon expose his world to ours? That is an exciting as hell concept. Argus allowed the team to blow our minds with some fresh feeling art, and just a zone that felt truly epic and truly different and refreshing. Well, they clearly know that BFA was a bit of a back to basics, right, from the art perspective, meaning that by the time the Black Empire would roll around, well, players would really be, I think, poised to have something larger than life really just feel like a breath of fresh air. Now, finally, I want to mention the Rift of Valen and the Elemental Planes. Now, my theories on the Rift have been covered before, so there really is no point in just making this video an extra 15 minutes longer by basically copy-pasting another video over. But to suffice to say, The Rift of Valen is like at the heart of the Emerald Dream, it's of tremendous power, and it was actually able to link the Emerald Dream to the Great Dark, facilitating the connection between the Warlords of Draenor Archimonde and the main universe Emerald Nightmare. When you think about those implications, it's a bit insane. Now, based on the similarity between the Emerald Dream, the Shadowlands, and how we know the Dream is tied to the basically like Azeroth, the World Soul herself, it seems like the Rift of Valen could really be at the core of just about everything, of maybe Azeroth herself. We know their actions in the Emerald Nightmare raid introduced the Void into the heart of the Dream. Well, what if that had a role to play in the emergence of the Black Empire and the weakening of N'Zoth's physical prison? It really does beg the question, like, just how connected can the Rift of Valen be to the material plane? If it's connected enough that anything in the rift can affect the material plane, then maybe that is the thing that is opening this rift in the ocean. Whatever's happening, it's extremely exciting. And yeah, just think about it right now as we're doing our stuff, going to the Crucible of Storms. There's something going on. There's a big rift right down there in the ocean, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be good for us. So yeah, there's that. It's pretty darn insane. We also then find out from King Myrkul that the Naga Sea Witches are performing increasingly dangerous experiments on the Murlocs, leading to the destruction of multiple Murloc tribes. What could this be? What could it mean? Well, you know, I don't know. Are they magically crafting a new type of enemy? Could these be special spells cast by the Red Naga, who seem to be Ashara's upper class, a group that we really don't seem to have faced off against that much yet? Perhaps this could lead to a new Naga variant or a new Murloc variant for us to fight. After all, well, they're going to have do some sort of updated models for the Murlocs. We've been fighting very similar Murlocs for a long time, and we do know the Nazjatar is probably going to bring a new style of Naga. So there you go. Creepy things happening underneath the ocean. But what about all that Yashar stuff that I talked about? Well, this is also insane. Okay, so while on an island, you come across a wriggling mass. The description is that holding it makes you uneasy, with it assaulting your mind with vicious thoughts. But one vision in particular, and to those who've been paying attention to the Old God stuff for as long as I have, it's really exciting. In your mind's eye, you picture a many-faced goat lying in a pool of black water. As you approach, its eyes burst open, and in an instant, you find yourself looking upward at the goat from within the puddle. As you sink into the icy darkness, everything goes black. This could be massive. But first, you actually take the wriggling mass to the Twilight Hermit, an individual who's atoning for their past actions. From looking at you, he immediately recognizes that you two have seen the vision of the Black Goat. He says that it means we are fast closing in on the end of the world. What are we to make of this? Well, this is actually an elaboration of the puzzle box of Yogg-Saron, with this dream actually being something that was referred to by this puzzle box line. Have you had the dream again? A black goat with 7 eyes that watches from the outside. Well, now we know about the full content of that dream. We know about the context of the original line from 2010. That is so damn exciting. We know that the goat is outside. We know that the goat is in this black pool. In the puzzle box line, it is said to watch, and in the dream, it says we are drawn towards it, that its eyes burst open, and that we then find ourselves being in the black pool with the goat watching over us. So, what is the pool? The black icy pool? Well, it could represent the outside, i.e. where the Void Lords are now. In the dream, we swap places with this goat, and during the first part of the dream, we are towering over it. But then there is a role reversal, with us being in the black icy pool and the goat towering over us, symbolizing that the goat is back and is powerful, and that we are powerless and trapped. This all ties into a lore forum post from 2012 saying that old gods do not die, that they do not live, that they live outside the cycle. Guess what? This is a direct reference to H.P. Lovecraft. In Lovecraft's work, Yog-Sothoth exists outside the universe, having access to all knowledge and all time. Yeah, that's fairly spooky, and, you know, it's a little bit like the Void Lords. Also, with these cycles of not having death, not having life, that's a reference to the name of the city, which has this line: "That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons even death may die." For the full lore breakdown of that line, check out this video, but the core is that old gods probably cannot truly die. that they cannot have their essence be utterly destroyed. It seems to retreat back, somewhere beyond our comprehension. This means that Y'Sharj might be fully dead as far as we are concerned, but isn't really dead. Why do I bring him up? Well, you see, he's often referred to as the god of 7 heads. Now, you know that goat from the dream? Well, that's also the goat from the puzzle box line, and that is said to be a black goat with 7 eyes. Y'Sharj has 7 eyes, and also horns that look like those of a goat. Now, the black goat is also a reference to Shub-Niggurath, a outer god from H.P. Lovecraft's mythos, who is again also referenced to as the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young. On the whole, without getting into the exhaustive detail of this, the black goat is basically a Y'Sharj, or Y'Sharj. I believe Y'Sharj is actually the correct pronunciation. It's a direct reference to him. And this line is following up on the old line from Cataclysm concerning Y'Sharj. Now, why is there a Y'Sharj line in the current expansion? Well, him and Azeroth were enemies, but that was back in the days when the old gods fought each other. Perhaps N'Zoth wants to revive Y'Sharj, the strongest of the old gods, and use his power to fully corrupt Azeroth, leading to a future where we are imprisoned. That would involve a role reversal that exactly mirrors what the wriggling mass shows us in the dream. Oh, I love the Warcraft lore. This stuff is so much fun. So look, there you go. We have visions that foreshadow the return of a really exciting villain, or at the very least, foreshadow a massive role reversal and really major events, and finally tying in to that puzzle box line from all the way back in 2010. We then have insane things brewing underneath the ocean. And that all, of course, comes together with the information that we've learned since BlizzCon and with the many old god hints of patch 8.1.5's Crucible of Storms raid. It's going to be a really exciting time. I know BFA is in a funky place for the lore, but once we're over the faction war stuff, I mean, once we get into this old god stuff, it's just mental. It's really, really fun. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But there you go. That is it for this video. Be sure to check out Thomas Frank's course over in Skillshare. You can check it out for free. You could be watching it in probably 60 seconds if you hit that link. It is a truly fantastic piece of content, a fantastic course, and I mean, yeah, I can guarantee that if you watch that, you will come out with a number of actionable things that will just improve your day-to-day. It's a great course, and also check out Thomas's YouTube channel at the same time. It's a great channel. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you to them for supporting this channel, and with that, I will see you next time.